If you find your mind wandering off, distracted, be aware of that and always try to bring back to the breath. Anytime your mind goes off, recognize that and bring back to the breath. The moment you find your mind being distracted with other thoughts, feelings, whatever, be aware of them, recognize them. Again, immediately try to bring your mind to the breath. So that's how we train our mind to be in the moment, in the present, with the breath. Once your mind has settled down, then we can try to have good intention while being here. We can think all the benefit we get in our life, or receive in our life, all the good things, benefit, joy, happiness we receive, we achieve them through the contributions of others. Some of them were aware those who have contributed. Sometimes we are not aware others' contribution, but indirectly we are getting the benefit from the contribution of so many others. Without others' direct and indirect contributions, we will not be able to get all the benefit that we receive from those benefits and how things make a little bit better, convenience. That being the case, it would be wrong and too selfish only to think of myself, my own well-being, and not to think of well-being of others. Therefore, I'm going to help and contribute for the well-being of all other sentient beings as much as I can, directly, indirectly, in whatever way I can. And in order to be beneficial, helpful to others and oneself, I need to train my mind so that I have less negative feelings, emotions, such as anger, frustrations, greediness, jealousy, so that I have less ignorance, less distrust, less fear, less self-hatred or low self-esteem. Instead, to cultivate and develop more self-confidence, more trust in oneself and others, more loving kindness, more compassion, more patience, more understanding, more wisdom, so forth. And to be able to do that, it doesn't come just by wishing, but we need to practice and train our mind through contemplations, meditation practice correctly, continuously. For that, we need to be reminded of the importance of those practice and to practice and continue to study, learn as much as possible. For that very reason, I'm going to listen, not only listen, If I find anything beneficial, helpful, then I will take home and try to integrate in my everyday life as much as possible. So I can become more compassion instead of more anger. So I can have more wisdom instead of more ignorance. So I can have more sense of content and satisfaction than greediness. More patience instead of impatience. More self-confidence instead of self-doubt. And so forth. So that we can take care of ourselves better than others as well. Okay. So
Sorry. It's nothing like sure. Okay, John, where's the share? No, we finished this. You have to. Somebody's on a script.
yeah.
So, Sarah, our prayers will start with the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. We'll say it 3 times in English. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the photo story, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer, the shocking land. I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shagaki clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the first destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer, the shocking plan. I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Okay, this is the pull it down. So mandala offering once, and we'll do it in English tonight. This ground is body with perfume, spring flowers, adorned about every for confidence, the sun and moon. I imagine this is a Buddha field of all prayer. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ranam Niyam Tayam. That's what he says. Oh. Okay. Okay, taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. We'll say it once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create to resist me to the Dharma, and I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodam Sogye Chodam La Janju Barju Dagi Kyao Sushi Dagi Chonyen Kepe Sonam Ki Draw Pencher Sangye Drupa Sangye Chodam Sogye Chodam La Janju Barju Dagi Kyao Sushi Dagi Chonyen Kepe Sonam Ki Draw Pencher Sangye Drupa
So again, welcome everyone. Good evening again. And we have been going through these particular sutras. The name of sutra is called Rice Seedling Sutras, because it was a sutra or teaching given by Buddha, looking at the rice field, holding a rice seedling, using that as an example to show how everything's just like this rice and rice seedling, how everything's comes into existence by depending on cause and conditions. So he talked about dependent arisings, how everything's dependent arisings. First showing with the example with the rice, how rice come into existence, how rice come as well as all other phenomena by depending on multiple cause and conditions. It's not just one cause that lead to that result, not just one condition, but multiple cause condition that lead to such result. And not only the external things such as the rise and others are dependent on arisings, but also our experience, our different experience, our different feeling, whether it's a pleasant experience, pleasant feelings, joyful experience, or unpleasant, painful experience, feelings, they are also dependent on arisings. They also come into existence by multiple cause and conditions. They don't come without depending on cause and conditions. Not only they depend on cause and conditions, they don't depend on single cause, single condition, but they depend on multiple condition and cause. Not only they depend on cause and conditions, but they depend on similar cause and conditions. The cause and conditions and the result has to be similar. Not any cause and condition can lead to any kind of result. Not any kind of result can arise by just depending on any kind of cause and condition. It has to be similar cause and conditions. Just like the example that you find is, if you plant a chili seed, it's a cause condition that will give rise to a fruit, but it will not grow up apple. When you get a fully grown up, it will not be apple. It will be chili. Or if you plant an apple seed and give all other conditions, the water, fertilizer, the heat, everything that is needed, multiple conditions that needed. When that plant grow and then produce the flower and produce the fruit, it wouldn't be chili. It will be apple. Even you want to have chili, okay, because now you feel, oh, I feel like I need a chili. I want to have chili from this tree. Just because you wish, just because you want, it doesn't happen. You have to create the right cause and conditions. Similar cause and conditions or right cause and conditions to have a particular result. And so that is where the main core subject of this is this dependent arisings. Talking about dependent arisings, at the very beginning, the conversation start, where Buddha says, whoever sees dependent arising will see the Dharma, whoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha or fully awakened. And so then the conversation starts from there. So what is dependent arising? What is Dharma? What is the Buddha? How does when you see the dependent arising, you see Dharma? How does when you see Dharma, how you see the Buddha? So that conversation is around mainly on that particular kind of the main theme, and then it goes more details. And last week we were on the sections where we talk about, about what the dependent arisings. And in terms of understanding dependent arisings, then we can understand from 2 points of view, from ultimate point of view, from conventional point of view. From ultimate point of view, there's nothing that come into existence or arise, by itself or from its own side or by itself. Everything is empty of existence by itself. Nothing can exist by itself, meaning without depending on other factors, conditions. There is no one example of existence that we can see, from the biggest galaxy, universe, to the most subtle atoms. From the biggest mind to the most subtle mind, there's nothing that could exist by itself without depending on other factors and conditions to be able to exist. And therefore, everything that we see, everything that we hear, everything we smell, everything we taste, everything we touch, everything that comes in our mind, thought, they have same nature, and ultimately they have same nature. That is that they all are empty of existence by itself or infinite existence. So therefore, in Buddhist, you find a term, in emptiness, everything is one test. In emptiness, or on ultimate level, everything is one test. They all are empty of infinite existence, empty of existence by itself. There's no difference in that ultimate nature of everything. On relative level, on conventional level, then there are differences. Then there are many different appearances. On ultimate level, on that level, they all are same taste, equal, same taste, same nature. But on the relative, on conventional level, then there are differences. By depending on different cause and condition, and each of them have different functions. This iPad has different functioning than me. I have different functioning than this table. This table have different functioning than this clock. This clock has different function in all the rest of the objects. They each have different functionings. And each of them have, by depend on many different causes and conditions. So there is a, on conventional level, on a relative level, there's a differences, very differences. But if you go more deeper on ultimate level, on that ultimate nature, then they are same. So understanding all phenomena from two point of view, what we call two truth, conventional truth and ultimate truth. And there is true truth in each of every phenomena and objects. Due to not understanding that ultimate nature of the phenomena, from Buddhist point of view, the Buddha said that is the cause for all our sufferings. Not understanding the ultimate nature of yourself, not understanding the ultimate nature of this clock. Starting, your physical body, not understand the ultimate nature of your mind, your experiences, not understand the ultimate nature of all other phenomena is the root cause for our sufferings. Due to not understanding that ultimate nature of yourself and other phenomena, there's ignorance. Due to that ignorance, then it gives rise to anger, anger and attachment or greediness. And through that kind of anger and attachment, many other negative emotions arises. Through that, then we suffer mentally, emotionally. We suffer because of our anger. We suffer because of our attachment, desire. We suffer because of our jealousy. We suffer because of our impatience, frustrations. So all this, we suffer because of, too many unnecessary worry, fear, anxieties. We suffer because of too much doubt, self-doubt, doubt towards others, not being able to trust, all of that. So all we suffer on emotional, mental level, all of because of those different feeling, emotion, which are very much rooted in that fundamental ignorance, which is not realizing the ultimate nature of yourself and other phenomena. So that is the key. And so the understanding of the ultimate nature of the self and the phenomena, what you call emptiness. Empty of what? When we talk about emptiness, the word itself can be misunderstanding sometimes. Because when we use the word emptiness, sometimes we think nothingness. There's a very different, we are not saying everything's empty. Talking emptiness is talking about empty of something. Empty of what? Empty of existing by itself, or empty of existing inherently. And so I cannot exist inherently or by itself, because for me to exist depends on many causes and conditions, many factors. Without my aggregate, there wouldn't be me. If someone takes my body, my feelings, my discriminating mind or distinguishing mind, my other mind, what we call conventional factors, such as my memories and all others, minds and consciousness, then there's no more me. There's no more me. There's no more me that can exist by itself, by myself, without depending on all these other factors, such as my aggregates. This is what we call aggregates in my body, my mind. And my mind include all my feeling, my memories, all different positive thought, negative thoughts, neutral thoughts, my fear, my worry, this all are included within my mind. If you take away those, there's no more me. So I can only exist by depending on those factors, depending on my aggregates. And since I can only exist by depending on those aggregates, other factors such as the aggregates, therefore I cannot exist independently or by myself without depending on others factors or inherently. And that is what we're talking about, emptiness. And that same reasoning applies for everything. My body cannot exist by itself without depending on those limbs. If you take away different part of my body, my head, my shoulder, my hands, my legs, my torso, upper part, lower part, is part of my organs, is part of skin, bones, the blood, the nerves, muscles. There's no more my body. There's no more my body. There's body. My body is there only by depending on all these different parts of my bodies. My skin, my bones, the blood, the muscles, nerves, all of that. And therefore, the body cannot exist by itself without depending on those factors. And that can be applied same to the mind. Each of mind, whether it's a positive mind, whether it's a negative mind, such as anger, or positive mind, such as true love, compassions, or whether it's a fear, whatever different state of emotion, different state of mind, that depends on many moments of those moments that make that mind. If you take away each of those moments, again, the mind cannot exist and function as that mind. The fear wouldn't be able to exist as a fear and function as a fear. The compassion cannot exist as a compassion and to function as a compassion. And same with the anger. The moment of anger, the moment of compassion, moment of fear is made out of many parts of the continuity of that. Are we communicating?
Yeah.
I'm coming. And maybe using an example can be helpful. I think, yeah.
I don't know much about the DNA, but it seems like scientists determine that is uniquely yours. So if your body is all gone, but I think your DNA remains. Is that not you?
DNA is also made of many parts. If you take part of those DNA, there's no more DNA in it. This table is unique from the rest of the table. But if I take away each part, there's no more this table. So even DNA is made of many, many parts that make DNA and function whatever functioning it has. It is not a partless. It has still a part, and that is why they are able to kind of, trying to change DNA or trying to fix something, and they're trying to work on that because it has its parts. And so when you try to do that, then something can be changed. Is it partless? Then there's nothing you can do it to fix to trying to just like what you call modified by what you call genetically modified.
Yeah.
Same, in some of plants, they are able to do because these parts, and they can take this part, they can put this part and put together, and that's how they are able to modify to what color they want, what shape they want, what size they want, and all of that. If it was a partlet, they wouldn't be able to take that, and it wouldn't be possible to do that.
I was thinking about not in the realm of creating from it, but I was reading about, like mummies and very ancient bone skeletons that are thousands of years old, that they're beginning to be able, I think, through examining DNA, to know where these people came from, the Black Sea area or wherever. And that's what I was thinking. That's what made me think that maybe it was unique for that skeleton, which had been a person, but wasn't anymore what we would call a person, but still has that unique property, I think.
Well, I'm sure not only human beings, even all these objects
Yes.
they can trace back
Yeah.
how old this is and where it could have come. So, and it has its own unique. So that is when we talk about unique, we are talking from more conventional point of view, relative point of view. As I was saying, everything is unique. It has its own different functions. This clock doesn't function same as this table. This table doesn't function as this clock. It's a unique. It has its own unique functionings because of coming together certain cause and condition and creating and building certain things. So it all has special, unique functionings. But that is only on conventional relative level. If you go beyond that on ultimate level, then they're all the same nature. That DNA, my DNA, your DNA, everyone's DNA, they all are empty of inherent existence. Everything can exist as DNA or any objects. So that was what we're talking about. Yeah. So because we're talking about, I got lost. Because I think I was talking about basically not understanding the ultimate nature of same phenomena is the cause, and then from there, and then how on ultimate level how all phenomena are same in nature, but on relative conventional level, then there is the differences. Has every object has their own individual functionings, by depending on different cause, condition, and factors. So because I was talking about the word, it's emptiness. I think that was where the word emptiness can be. The term emptiness can be misunderstood unless you have studied a little bit over, and then when you hear emptiness, you are saying it is not saying nothingness. What it means. So because of that emptiness, because in Buddhist scripture, you find the term the emptiness very much, and understanding emptiness is the key to liberation. Not understanding emptiness is that keep us in the samsara, in the problem and the sufferings. And so therefore, so that was where I was. The emptiness here means empty of existing by itself, existing inherently, because nothing can exist by itself or inherently without depending on other factors and cause and conditions. Therefore, everything's, as I was saying, from the biggest object to the most smallest objects, the most smaller atoms or particles, everything is dependent on arisings because everything is dependent on other factors, cause, conditions. And then, I think that's now I remember. So then I was coming to the mind. That was where I got distracted. The mind. So we're talking about different, whether it's compassion, whether it's anger, whether it's fear. I was talking about that. Each of those moments of mind is made of many moments. And then I was going to give example. Then that's where I got distracted. Yeah. So I thought maybe example can be helpful. So that was where I was too. And for some you have heard that example. When we go to the recording studios, I didn't know that before I went to a recording studio, one time. And then in that recording studio, that's what I noticed. With every sound you make, let's say that sound is made of so many, when they break down like so many moments of that make this sound Do you get it? Each of those moments not sound. And without each of those moments, there wouldn't be sound. The sound, sound, even the when you say is so quick and very short, but even that is made of, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of those moments that make that. Similarly, same thing, our mind, when you have fear, is like that, like sound, or attachment or anger. But each of those, whether it's the attachment, whether it's the, anger, or whether it's the compassion, or whether it's the fear, is like that sound is made of the many moments that make that fear, many moments that make anger, many moments of those mind make compassions. But each of those moments are not the compassion. Each of those moments are not the anger. Each of those moments are not the fear. Each of those moments cannot function as a fear. Each of those moments cannot function as a attack, anger or compassions. But by depending on all those moments, then it comes a sudden functioning of anger or compassion or fear. So therefore, each of those moments of different feelings, emotions, mind can come into existence and function as it is by depending on all those different moments of that. So that is why even the minds are dependent arisings. It depends on many moments. Without those moments, the compassion wouldn't be compassion, it wouldn't function as a compassion. The anger wouldn't be come as an anger, cannot function as anger. The fear cannot function as a fear. Therefore, everything is dependent arisings. Because dependent, so therefore that is why I was saying from the most gross to most subtle particles, as well as most gross to subtle mind, they all are dependent arisings. they all are dependent arisings. Each of them to exist and function as that objects, it depends on many parts, many factors. Therefore, they all dependent on that. Since they are dependent on arising, therefore they are empty of inherent existence. Therefore, they are empty of existence by itself. They cannot exist by them itself without depending on the others, those factors. And so therefore, that's why everything is empty of inherent existence as well as dependent arisings. And they are empty because they are dependent arisings. And they are both dependent arising and empty. Empty of what? Empty of inherent existence, empty of existence by itself. Okay? So I think that is where we are. And in last week we were talking about, what about that emptiness. And so that is where because everything is dependent on cause, condition, and other factors, therefore they are dependent on arising. Because they are dependent on arising, they are empty of inherent existence. If they are empty of inherent existence, so if there is no inherent existence, even though there is no inherent existence of, inherent arising of the result by depending on cause and condition inherently, but due to depending on cause and condition, they exist on relative level, conventional level. Just like the dream, okay? Like illusions, like the image of the moon in the still lakes. So when you look at the image of the moon in the still lake, it feels like the moon is there. Okay? Feel like the moon is in the lake, but there is no real moon in the lake. Okay? Empty of moon in the lake. That is just like everything is empty of inherent existence, same, just like the moon. The lake is empty of the moon. Even though it is empty, even though it is empty of the moon in the lake, but due to coming together cause and condition, the lake is clear. There's no, it is not muddy, it's the moon is not obstructed by the clouds. The moon is there. Not only moon is there, it's not clouded. So due to all these conditions coming together, then there's the image of the moon in the lake. And then through that image of the moon in the lake, then it has many functionings. It's clear. Through that image, then you are able to see things better, in certain areas there. There's more light. And you can see. So that image has certain functional, different functions. So that is example, it has, while it is empty of the moon, at the same time, by the coming together many cause and condition, there's image of the moon, and through that image of the moon has many functionings. It has certain functionings. So that is similar, There's no inherent existence, just as there is no moon in the lake. At the same time, due to coming cause and condition, there is the image of the moon and it is functioning same due to coming together cause and condition, then each of those objects has their own unique special functionings. And that. Are we clear? Yeah, okay. And so the problem is, at the moment, the problem is we see the image of the moon in the lake and we believe there is the real moon there. That is the deceiving part. Do you get it? That is the deceptions. You believe there is a real moon there. There's a story, I read a story when I was young. I don't know whether it's a Nepali, Tibetan, or English storybook, one of storybooks, and there was a rabbit who comes and then see the image of the moon in the lake, and then thought it was real moon, and then started running. The world had become upside down. The moon has fallen down. That's the moon has fallen down, and the world is falling down. So the rabbit gets so scared and fearful, running, and then all other animals started run after that because the rabbit was saying, the world is falling down and it's getting upside down. And so that is, of course, just a story, but that is what it is. In that cases, the rabbit got deceived. Of course, it probably is not a true story, but the whole is that, the rabbit got deceived by believing the moon was really there. Believing is true. The moon is there. Moon has fallen there because the moon is in the lake instead of the sky. And that is what everything that we see, everything we hear, everything we smell, everything we taste, everything we touch, everything that comes in our mind, the sense of the object existing inherently or by itself. Not only there is appearance of that, and we believe, or there's object from its own side, the real object from its own side by itself, there. And that is where the deception comes. That is where the deception comes, and that is where mislead us, not understand the true nature, but believing there is inherent existing, there is a inherent existing object, that there is a object that exists by itself. Believing that, then that is the where the misleading deception comes, And that example in Buddhist scriptures, in Buddha's Sutra, Buddha used many different examples. This is the one example. He used the dream. They're all a similar example, a difference, the dream, the illusions, the echo, and so sometimes the rainbow, and like that, those different examples where there is certain appearance and then reality is different than the appearance. But at the moment, not understanding the true reality, we believe the appearance as being true. Okay? We believe that the appearance, even though appearance is not true, but we believe the appearance to be true, and that is where we get misled by that mind. And that misled mind lead to other afflictive emotions, negative emotions. And that's where the problem arises, the pain and suffering arises. So that is the therefore, even though everything is empty of inherent existence, but still there are objects and there are things that functions and they have their own unique functions, unique of each of them, and there's no contradictions to what we see in the world, to see this devil. That's what we see in the world. And to be able to devil and see devil and to have functional devil, like that everything's while it's empty of anything existing, at the same time it has those functionings, might depend on many causes and conditions. And so in that regard, there is no contradictions to what world worldly what we see it. So in terms of the actually the verse itself, I think we're on page number 3. And I think it's on the second paragraph where it says, why is it called dependent arising? I think that's where we are up to, yeah. Why is it called dependent arising? So the answer to that is called dependent arising because it's causal and conditional, not non-causal and non-conditional. So here is saying everything is dependent arising because, especially all the condition phenomena are depending on cause and conditions. So there's two here is talk about two things, causal and conditions. Okay, causal and conditions. So here is saying this. So to any condition, phenomena, or object to arise or to completely exist, it depends on two factors, cause and conditions. Even there is cause, if there's no condition, it cannot arise. Even there's a condition, but if there's no cause, then it will not be able to arise. So coming into existence, then it depends on cause and conditions. And when you talk about condition, then it can be multiple conditions, not just one condition, multiple conditions. It will come later, in the Buddha will go, in this Sutra, it will go more detail, but like, in terms of conditions, taking an example of a seed, let's say a plant seed, whatever that plant is, since we live in the city of the Chile, so, or the world of the Chile, so we can take the example of Chile. Isn't New Mexico, some local, I say what, Chile world or the world of Chile or what, on the car, sometimes I see that logo. The land of enchantment is one thing, and the other one was
Chili capital or something.
Chile capital, maybe that's what it is. So maybe we think we are Chile capital. Not necessarily we are the Chile capital. But anyway, let's say a chili example. The cost for the chili, you need the chili seed. That's the seed. Without the seed of the chili, you wouldn't have the plant of the chili that produce chili. Okay? That's the cost. But it's not enough to have the cost, just the chili seed. You need the many conditions. The earth to plant in, the water, the moisture, the water, the heat, the air, the space, and the time. In Sutra, Buddha gave example 6 conditions. The element of earth, the element of water, the element of fire, the element of what was wind, the element of space, and then element of time where it's given. But of course, also there can be much more than the 6 conditions, more than 6 conditions. Those are some of the major conditions. So even there is the cause, the seed, without those conditions, you wouldn't get the chili. I can have chili seed here that I put here for thousands of years, never get water, it will never produce chili plant and get the chili. But even there's condition, if there's no cause, again, it cannot produce. I don't have chili seed and I water every day. There's the earth, the garden, I water everything. There's the heat, there's the spirit, there's the air, all other conditions, but it cannot produce chili plant and chili. So what you need, what we say is you need both cause and conditions. Both cause and conditions. Depending on both cause and conditions. I think it's easy to understand. Is it easy to understand that? I don't think it seems complicated, too difficult to understand that with the plant. Now, when we apply this to our experience, then that becomes a little bit more complicating. It's not complicating because the reality, but just because we don't want to accept. It's easy to accept that with the plant. Sometimes it's also easy to accept with someone's dealing with experience when you have no connections. But it becomes much more difficult to accept, not because that is not how things are, but just because sometimes, it's just our feelings, emotions. And our emotions are not always rational, not always based on reasoning, logic, understanding, So anyway, so when it comes to that, then when it comes to experience, our experience, good experience, bad experience, whatever different experience we have in our life, just like that external plant, it is also dependent on cause and conditions. Without both cause and conditions, just an external plant, it cannot produce those different experiences, whether it's pleasant experience, good experience, or unpleasant bad experience. Even if you have the cause, if you don't encounter the condition, it will not produce the experience. Just like external, even if you have the cause for that experience, but if the conditions have not gathered, if condition doesn't come together, one will not experience the experience, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. But if the conditions are there, if the cause is not there, also you will not experience. Just like external things. So in order to experience, whatever experience, good or bad, it has to come both cause condition together. Just like the external plant. If that reality also apply to internal, not only external plants, external objects and things, it also applies internal beings and their experiences. Yes, please.
You were saying the chili seed cause in that example. I'm just a little confused about the cause condition distinction. Is it just really one of emphasis or something more? So like in a case of an emotion, what would the cause versus the condition?
Yeah, I'm coming to that one.
Okay.
Generally speaking, when we sometimes the cause condition could mean same things, similar, but when we distinguish cause and condition as separate as is here, two things, the cause can be referring to main substantial. In conditions, we talk about, you know, in Buddhist scripture, they talk about yeah, then I don't know. Oh, substantial is the right word, but primary cause and corroborative or supportive cause. And those corroborative supporting cause here is referred to conditions. The primary cause. The primary cause is that in some of the chili seed gradually transform into plant and that into a that the chili. So that is the primary cause, and the other are supportive, corroborative or supportive conditions. So normally, so then coming back to the experience, I was talking about that. From Buddhist point of view, the cause is our past karma, potential that we carry. For example, I engage certain actions, good or bad. When I engage in certain actions, whether through body, speech, mind, three doors, any of them, the moment I engage into those actions, then the imprint from that actions is left within the consciousness. So the potential is kind of carried by that, the continuity of that stream of the mind. And that is, it has the potential to produce similar kind of result, So that is the cause. Conditions can be then many other things. Condition can be, maybe not thinking properly myself. I choose to think certain way and I choose not to do that. Sometimes, I could apply the antidote, but I didn't apply. I had the choice to apply the antidote or not to apply the antidote. But I choose not to apply the antidotes in dealing with certain situations. Or then coming together of certain condition together. Other external condition, internal condition. So condition can be external, internal. Not understanding the reality can be the condition, internal conditions. Why I was upset. Okay. But because of that upset, then I get unpleasant experience. Why I was upset? Because sometimes it's my ignorance, not understanding the reality fully. And then there is some other external conditions there, So with that coming together, and then the previous kind of the karmic seed or the potential, the cause, then it produces certain unpleasant experience. And that could be on also other side pleasant experience, depending on the karmic seed, cause, and immediate cause and immediate conditions. And that is interesting, it's interesting to contemplate about, if we just if we don't think of that kind of previous karmic seed as a cause, if we just think of immediate conditions, it is all about immediate conditions, then there are a lot of things that cannot be answered, so many experience in your life or life of others. Recently, you heard about this accident with the airplane in India. More than 260 people died. Miraculous, one person survived. Or you can say, oh, he was on the close to the exist, but there are so many people who are close to exist. None others escape. None others survive. One person survived. In terms of the external conditions, there was all the conditions for have this plane to go wrong, some things, and then, but he didn't die. Not only he didn't die, he didn't even have a big injury. He was able to walk actually. After they took him to the hospital, because they want to make sure, but he was able to walk. So what are those is the external condition are there, but the cause, the karmic cause, potential not there. So even the condition are there, the cause is missing, so that it didn't have that result. But sometimes there is a karmic cause, but when conditions are not there, again, it doesn't produce the result. So therefore, there's the karmic cause and immediate conditions, and both need to together in order to experience good or bad. Like for example, also there are like certain people's, sometime in our own life or someone we know around, and then some others, from the external conditions, they have all the right conditions to be successful in certain areas. If you just tick what it is to be successful, okay, in different fields, they pass all of them, all the tick, nothing missing, but still they struggle. Something missing, you cannot pinpoint what that is. If you go through the conventional understanding, what are the conditions that we need for the success, all these ticks, but something missing. From Buddhist point of view, that is where all the immediate conditions are there, but the karmic cause is missing. But sometimes you have the karmic cause, but immediate conditions are not there. Therefore, again, you cannot succeed. The karmic cause is there, but you don't tick these conditions. You are missing some of those conditions. So therefore, you don't have success. So you need the karmic cause and immediate conditions coming together. So that is similar with the experience. Good, that lesson, there's karmic cause and immediate conditions. Immediate condition can be something external, internal, both, and depending on all those conditions and the cause, then, when the both come together, then one can have either a pleasant feeling or unpleasant feelings. So that is the cause and conditions. Yes, please.
I don't want to make a distraction, but so I'm thinking everything that we do and think now affects the karma of some future life, doesn't it?
Not always future life. It can affect now.
Yes.
What I think now, how I think now can affect after I get out of this room, or even while I'm on this room, you know.
Yeah.
It could affect now, it could affect maybe afterward, it could affect tomorrow, or next week, next month, next year, in this life, or possibly also in the future lives. Yeah. So
Thank you.
when we talk about being affected, it doesn't always mean very far away. It can affect you immediately too, you know, immediately too. But some of them, it might not affect you immediately, but it can affect later.
And we don't know, do we?
Yeah, sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we recognize after 1 week, or that's why that day, that is what happened. And I didn't watch my mind, or I didn't took care of my mind, and so that's why now, or because I saw that, or I heard that at that day, because I saw that something that day, I heard something that, you know, I felt something that day, and maybe I didn't, you know, deal with it correctly in the right way something, and that's why now it's affecting me. Sometimes we are aware later, sometimes we are not aware of that. Sometimes through the help of others, we are able to be aware. Sometimes even with the help of others, sometimes we are unable to be aware. But sometimes we are able to be aware through the help. Sometimes we are able to be aware of ourselves. So definitely it can, yeah, affect. And sometimes we are aware, sometimes we are not aware. You know, just like when we're growing as a child, you know, what kind of environment we're exposed to that could affect us as we grow up, you know. And sometimes we're aware of that, sometimes we're not aware of that. You know, sometimes we're aware what happened when I was young, or that is why it is. Sometimes someone can help us to be aware of that. And sometimes we're not aware, you know. Yeah. Sometimes why we act certain way, why we respond in certain way, you know. Sometimes some people are very fearful of something, whether it's a snake, whether it's a dog, whether it's whatever, and they don't know why. But then sometimes when they look back, maybe when they were kind of beaten, or maybe they were almost beaten when they were very young, and it's imprinted in their deep mind. Sometimes they're not even aware of that, not conscious of that. Unconsciously, it affects them. You know, it was interesting. I had a story because that is my experience. At the very beginning, you know, every time I get in the plane, I get sick physically. You know, physically I get sick. I get nauseous. You know, kind of feeling like vomiting, nauseous. And it's worse when I smell the food. When they serve the food, that is the worst. Then, you know, I started even feel nauseous. You know, I didn't know why, you know, I thought maybe it's something to do with the fuel. I'm not used to that fuel, you know, and maybe because my body is not used to the height, you know, it could be different things that I thought why I'm feeling that way, you know, and I thought after some time your body will get adjust to it, used to it, and then maybe this will go away, you know. But it never, you know, for so long time, every time I go into the plane, I get physically nauseous, sick. It's even worse when the food comes. So I cannot enjoy the food, you know. And then I was thinking, why, you know, now I'm quite enough. My body should be adjust to all of this, but and suddenly I remember my first flight. You know, as I've been thinking a lot about that, what could it be, and all of that. Suddenly, I remember my first flight. I was flying with my teacher from India to Nepal. My teacher was going. He was at the airport in the monastery to do some fundraising. And then that day, when we were going to the airport, I was sick. I was feeling very bad. Even when we were driving, in the jeep, I was feeling very bad. I was sick. And that flight was very bad. The first flight was uncomfortable and bad flight because I was sick even before I went into the plane. So that was very unpleasant flight. So I'm not aware of that, but I'm not conscious of that. On subconscious, I think every time I enter the plane, I think unconsciously or that subconscious, it brings that my memories, even though I'm not aware of that. And that is how is my body is reacting like the first time. It's interesting, Once I realized that, then I trust, it's nothing to do with the fuel, nothing to do with the height, nothing to do with that. It's all in my mind, So then I remind myself, it's all, I recognize that I think it probably because of that. So then I said, it's all in my mind. There's nothing to do with the fuel, anything. That flight was better. It gives me more confidence. Now it's really in my mind. And next flight, better, and now I have no problems for a long time. No problem with that. I can enjoy flight. I can enjoy the food, looking forward for the food. And so that is something that could happen to us, something, and we're not even aware of that and conscious about it, but the imprint is down there. And each time that kind of subconsciously remember or subconsciously that lead to that experience. Even on physical level, it can have is how interesting, the power of the mind. And that was what I see, the power of the mind, how our mind can even bring us physical reactions and unpleasant feeling, not only emotion, even physical level, unwell. Also, when you have that understanding and confidence, also how it can heal by itself, by the mind itself. I didn't rely on any medication, anything like that, but once I understood and believe it's all coming in my mind, and through that, it just went away. Yes.
Ursula, do you think it was fear, the fear of the flight? Or do you think it was a past experience that you might have had?
No, I was saying like first flight was that I was sick already on the way before even I went into the flight. So the first flight
It
was
was your first flight that you ever took?
yeah.
Okay.
So I think that was what was happening. That is, I could totally wrong, but that is what I thought. Whether it was the correct or not, I did. After that, then I didn't have that problems. It started getting better. Okay, then do the dedications.
Where's the dedication list?
I think it's in the back here. Yeah, I'm just trying to, here we go. This. John, you want me?
Yeah.
Okay, so our dedication list, and you can add your own after I've read the other ones. For obstacles, Adrian, Wyatt, Lynn, Raquel, Zach, Helen, Teresa. And for illnesses, Jill, Will, Astrid, Jana, Tanya. Durant, Linda, Emma, Kathy, Noah, Daniel, David, Gail, Linda L. And for Deb, Young Magpie, Julianne Martins, Sandro the dog, Michael Yu, Gopher, Rose in Gaza, Chet, Margie Woodall, those in the Ukraine, and the student conflicts zones. Anyone else? So we'll read our dedication prayers in English. Due to the merits of his virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha, and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that is not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. And then the long life prayers. We're working on it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, almost. Don't know what's going on here, folks. We'll give us a second. We try going out and see what happens.
No, I think it's just stop sharing.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Okay, so we have them. Does anybody need one? Well, so our long life prayers, the first one is for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The wish granted, wish fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world. To the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneous and fulfilled. And then the prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Brahmanas and Prajnayakas, victorious Losang, fathers and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow your virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the lady's precious and complete teachings, through explanation and practice, you are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable then with courage, you unnamed weapons. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge. And from other living beings, you suddenly depart their peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the embassy of truth, blessings to the ocean of the three jewels, and the great way of the Bodhicitta, builder of the victorious Western, may the smile of reincarnations swiftly end equal and for the victory.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good night. Take care. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.